last meeting?
I do.
I do as well.
Okay, we'll move those forward. Now is for our federal legislative update. Hi, Lori.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Right now, it's about appropriations all the time. The president released his budget request last week, so that starts the appropriation cycle. Right now, the various committees are holding hearings with the various federal agency officials to learn more about the president's priorities, and also for members of Congress to quiz them, get more details, and see how the budget affects their constituents. The House Appropriations Committee has to show what they requested by April 14th. And Liz is going to talk about that in a second. And the senators also have to show what they request, I think, the end of April. And then the appropriation bills will start to be drafted in April and May. And hopefully by the end of June or mid-June, we should know if our appropriation request stayed in the bill. But I will defer. Liz will follow up on additional details on that one. This week, the Senate is considering repealing the 1991 and 2002 authorizations for use of military force for the Iraq and Gulf Wars. It is sponsored by a Republican from Indiana, Senator Young, and then Senator Kane from Virginia. They're hoping they have bipartisan support and get it through the finish line by tomorrow. The House, it seems like they have considered that they would support it as well. And the press has definitely said he will sign the bill into law when it reaches his desk. Phil Washington, your airport director, is up for a nomination to be the administrator of FAA. They were supposed to have his nomination hearing yesterday, and at the last minute, they pulled it back. He does not have the support for enough committee members to vote for him. So it's been very interesting to watch how this was. It was airport week this past week, so it's been very interesting. I ran into him, but it's going to be tough to get this through the finish line for him. But he said he's in it for the long haul. So I'll keep you posted on that. I think that is really all I have right now, because it's really been appropriations all the time. And I know you're going to NLC next week, Councilmember Lawson. The Senate and House have been doing hearings on the FAA reauthorization bill. We're going to give you some prep materials on that. I know even if you're a local government with the airport right in your backyard, there should be a lot of interest from you on this as well. But it looks like that's what the Transportation Committee is going to focus on. But we're also going to send some additional information on the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Inflation Reduction Act grant opportunities that the city is seeking to apply for. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
I look forward to seeing you as well. I do have a question before I give it off to my committee members and then Councilmember Marcano if he has any questions. I know that Congressman Crow is reintroducing HR 1541 to amend the Small Business Act to include requirements for apprenticeships programs. So I want to keep track of that. I think he's aware that I'm very interested in that, but I know that there's going to be a reintroduction on that. So I know you'll probably keep track of it, but I just want to put it on your radar. So
and I'll see if there's a Senate introduction too, as well.
Okay.
There's going to be another version.
Okay, Councilmember Zvonek, Councilmember Jurinsky, do you have any questions or follow up for Lori?
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes, Councilmember Zvonek.
I'm trying to find the email. Unfortunately, I'll find it. But I had received an email as through Dr. Cog about some green grants that and it was primarily around transportation, but it didn't specify that it was all that. If you recall, a few weeks back or maybe a month ago, I talked about the idea of looking for equipment that could move us in that direction. Primarily, it was Aurora Fire and Rescue using chainsaws that were electric as opposed to their gas ones. One, they think it would be better for them now that they, because they end up having them stall out sometimes, and they are now, I guess, models that are powerful enough that are electric that they could use. And so I think if there's something in that, and I know I'll find it and see if it was part of federal legislation, as a part of a federal bill. But again, if we could apply for that grant, I think it would be a great way for us to look at something that would benefit our fire department, but also fit into this, it's under the clean air grants that I know it came through Dr. But I'll forward it to you. But anything we can do to explore that, I would like to make sure that stays on our radar.
Absolutely. I've been following this grant. It's called the Carbon Pollution Reduction Act. Maybe there's more there. It was funded. It's funded through EPA, and they are working through the NPOs to allocate the funding. It was creating the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yep.
So we need to reach out to both DRCOG, because they're the ones who are putting together a coalition of who's going to get the money, and then also the regional EPA office.
Yeah, so this would be my question for staff, and because myself and Councilmember Marcano are the two reps to DRCOG, and I would be happy to bring it forward if somebody helps me understand what that process would look like for me to bring it forward as an idea to put that, because I'm sure that other departments would look at that as a possibility, beyond ours.
Absolutely. Liz, I will, we've talked about this before, the one pager, but let me do a call with you and to find a strategy of how I think we need to contact DRCOG sooner than later on this.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm sure someone in the planning department knows the US EPA regional office. You also have to call them too. So there's money to the states, and then there's also money to the MPOs, and they're supposed to work with the local governments.
Okay.
And I'll look to see if this is eligible. That's why I need to go through the.
I have no idea if it is, but if it is, it'd be great. And I think it'd be we could make a good case for it.
But you have a lot of other projects also that I know are eligible for this.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Jurinsky, Councilmember Marcano, do you have any questions for Lori or any kind of, follow-up that you want based on her summary? Okay, Councilmember Jurinsky. Okay, thank you, Lori. I'll look forward to seeing you on next week or this Saturday.
Yes.
So, thank you. All right, so Liz, you're up. Congressionally directed spending update.
Yes, so I am so thrilled to give an update on this. All 4 of the projects I have brought forward have been accepted by our Senate and congressional offices. It seems like the Senate office will pick up the 9 Mile Bridge project as well as the pipeline replacement project. They also have interest in the valve replacement project as well. Congressman Crow's office is also interested in the valve replacement project. So we're not sure which office is going to pick that up just yet. That's something that they're going to be discussing. And then Crow's office is also interested in the library project. We did get a very great compliment that all of our applications looked fantastic. There are no issues moving forward. So it's kind of just a little waiting game that we have to play to see how it goes through this process. And I'll be sure to keep everyone updated moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Liz, for working on that. And I appreciate the update. Is there any questions from the committee or Councilmember Marcano? Okay, we'll move forward now to our state legislative update. Peggy.
Hi, good morning. Quick update on some of the bills that we are watching down at the Capitol. House Bill 1132, which is the court data sharing bill. It has passed the House, introduced in the Senate, and will be in Judiciary Committee next week. Senate Bill 97, the motor vehicle theft bill, was passed out of the Senate, introduced in the House, and assigned to Judiciary. It hasn't been calendared yet, but we'll keep our eyes open for that. Senate Bill 75, the deletion of a child's name from criminal justice records. That one passed out of Senate Judiciary, still stuck in Senate Appropriations. The Senate is going to start the the long bill next week, and then the House will do the long bill. A lot of these bills that are sitting in Appropriations Committee will start to move after the long bill is passed, and they determine how much money. They've got about 15 million to play with some of these new bills. So they'll have to start to prioritize which of those bills are going to move forward. In terms of bills that we are opposing, Senate Bill 111, that's the Public Employees Workplace Protection Bill. That passed Senate Local Government and is parked in Senate Appropriations. Equal pay for equal work and the power bills are bills that the power bill is the workplace harassment bill. Both of those are bills that the business community is very actively trying to amend. They have not gotten traction with the Senate sponsors on that, but we're joining forces with them. in either killing those bills or at least providing amendments that the business community might move forward with, sharing those with staff. So we'll keep on top of that. And then I know that Judge Day is on, and he probably wants to talk a little bit about 1222, which is the domestic violence in muni courts. We had a stakeholders meeting last week on that, I believe. And there's a strike below that's going to be offered, so he can probably share more on the details of that. But that's the update on where some of the bills that we're watching are. I know, Cammie, you were going to mention a couple as well.
Yeah, Senate Bill 52, the municipal lien bill, passed House third reading today, and so that will go on its way to the governor. Also, 1169, the low-level offenses bill. There's a stakeholder meeting on Friday. I have been talking with CML. They remain, despite the amendments that Representative Bacon is proposing, CML will remain opposed to the bill. The chiefs are opposed, Arvada's opposed, and the sheriffs have concerns with the bill as it is and is expected to be amended. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to let Tatsi give her review, and then I'll have the committee open it up for questions for all three of you from the state legislative update. Tatsi, do you have any updates?
I do not. My review is very short. Sorry, nothing today.
Okay, no problem. Is there any questions from the committee on Cammie and Peggy's report? Councilmember Zvonek, Councilmember Jurinsky? Okay, all right. Okay, Judge Day, you have your own agenda item, so.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. First, I want to say a big shout out and thank you to Peggy, Cammie, and Tatsi for all of their work and outreach with Rep. Weissman on 1222 as well. I believe that Rep. Weissman actually reached out to Peggy and Tatsi and Cammie to let them know that he is seriously considering some strike below amendments to 1222. We have not seen anything in or on paper yet, so we're still trying to keep our ear to the wall on that, and hopefully we'll see it soon. I'm somewhat still optimistic that it will be some of the ideas that we proposed regarding the application of the VRA, same sentencing structure as the state, and of course, mandatory protective orders. So I'm hopeful that it will have some language relating to those proposed amendments. And again, I'll let the committee know as soon as we see it on paper. Just as was mentioned earlier by Peggy, they actually moved the data sharing bill to April 3rd from the Senate Judiciary instead of next week. So it's actually now on an April 3rd calendar. Hopeful that it will have the same reception that it received in the House. It was a unanimous vote in the House. So I'm happy to go down on that date for the committee hearing for Senate Judiciary if I need to. As to the 1169 bill, which is the bill that Cammie referenced regarding non-arrest for certain level offenses that's run by Rep. Bacon. We had first heard that there was a possibility that it was going to be a substantial change to that bill to maybe it would be changed to a task force. We've now heard that she's still going to run the bill but do several carve-outs for different types of offenses. I haven't seen what her carve-outs are just yet. If it has circulated to other groups and there's still opposition, if it was to CML and all the different cities that Cammie said, I would share that same concern that I think the other cities have. But again, I haven't seen the carve-outs as to what she's looking for in the way of exceptions to the bill. Again, as soon as I hear or see it, I'll for sure let the committee know. But I think it would still be, at least my position, that there's some serious concerns with the bill. The 1182 bill, which is the remote public access to criminal court proceedings. There was actually a stakeholder meeting this morning at 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at that meeting. I had another conflict. I was at another meeting. There has been some circulated proposed draft amendments to that bill, which is, oh, by the way, going to be in House Judiciary on Tuesday, the 28th. There's three big bills on the 28th. There's the 1155 bill, which is the advisement concerning the advisement of rights during custodial interrogation for juveniles. The non-arrest bill, which is 1169 and 1182. They're all calendared before House Judiciary on March 28th. I'm hopeful that I'll get a reply back to an email that I sent out at about 10 o'clock this morning as to what was the result of the stakeholding meeting today on 1182. The proposed amendment deals with some concerns that have been expressed on this bill from victim rights groups. The concern is that it would be a chilling effect on victims to come to court if they know that they're going to be seen all over the web. If you're publicizing or streaming, I should say, court proceedings, there's a big chilling effect to victim witnesses. And I know that was heard and there was some consideration given in the proposed amendment. But there's still some pretty concerning language even with the proposed amendment. I don't know if it's still going to be pushed with the proposed amendment, or if there's going to be even some more modifications because of today's meeting. Again, I'll let you know as soon as I can if there's going to be any significant changes. I still think that there's some major issues with 1182, specifically how do you enforce court orders for sequestration? If you're telling somebody that they can't be in the courtroom and they're to remain outside the courtroom, how do you make sure that they're not logging in as an unidentified observer of the court proceeding, which we all see in our virtual hearings? People can log in an anonymous way and watch what's going on. How do you enforce a sequestration order? How do you enforce orders to not record the proceedings? And there should only be one official court record of every court proceeding, and to allow people to record it on their own and then potentially modify, edit it, and then circulate it as if this was the true record of the court. That's a great concern as well. I've only touched on a few of the concerns of the bill. We still have a lot of concerns, and I would still urge an opposition unless significantly amended position.
Okay. Thank you so much, Judge Day. I do see Doug Wilson on. Doug, when I see you on here, I want to give you an opportunity. Do you have any comments, or is there anything that you wanted to bring up to the committee?
No, I mean, as I told the committee, I have mixed emotions about the DV bill, but it sounds like the amendments are probably the route that needs to happen. Only thing I would ask, Judge, is do you know what the implementation date would be if it passes?
As it's still proposed right now on paper, it would be January of 2024, January 1, 2024.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I see Reagan from APD. Reagan, do you have anything that you wanted to update, or are you just from APD side on any of these bills that we just talked about, court or judicial?
Good morning. No, I do not have an update. I just wanted to be available in case anything was needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any questions from the committee on Judge Day's update?
None for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judge Day. I appreciate it. And of course, if you have to testify, or please do so. The committee will approve that.
And I took the same approval and authorization. There was a Denver Post reporter who reached out wanting to talk about the data sharing bill. I didn't think you would have any problem with me talking to that reporter, who I did. So they wrote a pretty positive article about it. So.
Fantastic. Thank you, Judge Day. I appreciate it. Okay, Liz, we're going to go to our legislative position discussions and on our bill positions, and then Councilmember Mercano, I will let you bring up your item after that. Okay?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Liz.
Thank you, Councilmember Lawson. So we have 3 bills today and then 1 informational item. for you all. So the first bill is for actively support House Bill 23-1232, extend housing toolkit timeframe. So this would clarify that the Division of Housing can give out more than one grant for funding, which Aurora would be a recipient of, specifically for our navigation center. As staff would like to see additional funding for that project, we are recommending an actively support position.
Okay, Councilmember Zvonek, Councilmember Jurinsky, do you have any questions? And then what would be your position on this bill? Do you support the city staff position on this?
No questions, and I would support it.
Okay, Councilmember Jurinsky,
Same for me.
I support as well.
So the next actively support bill is Senate Bill 23-183, Local Government Provision of Communication Services. So this bill would eliminate requirements that local government has to have an election before kind of moving forward with broadband or other connectivity opportunities. So this really would give permission for the city to connect city infrastructure with broadband or fiber optic cables. The reason why staff is promoting an actively support position, as it would allow the city to have greater flexibility with partnerships. It would allow the city to have more connectivity and support advanced connectivity with traffic control systems, data to different city facilities across the city, and allow the city to strategically enter partnerships that make sense to help support existing infrastructure. So with this and the removal of the kind of like oversight from the state and needing that election, we are actively supporting it. And just to note for everyone else, the bill is being supported by CML.
Councilmember Zvonek and Councilmember Jurinsky, do you have questions? And then what would be do you support the city position of actively support?
No questions, and yes.
Councilmember Jurinsky.
Same.
Okay, I support as well.
Wonderful. And then the last bill is an actively oppose. It is House Bill 1233, electric vehicle charging and parking requirements. So this bill would prohibit local governments from adopting ordinances or resolutions that prohibit the installation or use of EV charging stations. And then it also requires local government to count certain EV as parking spaces. And really restricts us in that sense. So the reason why staff is recommending an actively opposed position is that this bill infringes on our home rule powers and could impact parking and development in the future.
Okay, Councilmember Jurinsky, Councilmember Zvonek, do you have any questions? And do you support the city's position of oppose on this bill?
No questions, and I do.
Okay, Councilmember Jurinsky?
Yeah, same.
I'm the same as well.
Great. And then the last thing I wanted to bring forward to you all is an informational item, and I did send an email out this morning about the bill as a supplemental item. So I do apologize for that late addition. But Senate Bill 23-1213 is the land use and affordable housing bill that we've all kind of been waiting for from the governor's office to be released, and it was introduced last night. The reason why I'm bringing this forward is that staff has some interest in the bill. It is very long. It is 100 pages. So we do not have a position recommendation at this time, but to give you all a quick overview of what we're seeing in the bill, the bill would essentially tier municipalities into urban areas. So urban area 1, 2, and rural. We would be considered urban area tier 1 based on our population and our location close to the metro area. There are also a lot of zoning changes and mandates from the state in this bill as well as there would be an affordable housing component in which there would be a menu list of items, and the city, being tier 1, would have to pick 3 of those items to implement for their affordable housing initiatives. Those menu items will be what looks to be determined. It will become in rulemaking. So we do not know what those menu items are at this time. A lot of these zoning changes have to do with accessory dwelling units or other changes related to parking. So that's kind of what I have for you on that right now. I believe in Councilmember Lawson, we talked about this earlier today. We may do a special meeting next week early, just so we're able to take this to study session, if that's agreeable, so we can start advocating on this bill. And then we would have at that time recommendations for the committee based on what we've evaluated. So if that's all right, we can maybe talk about that or have kind of that discussion regarding this specific bill.
Councilmember Jurinsky and Councilmember Zvonek, I did talk with Liz about this because of the significance of this bill. We usually don't have this extra meeting, but this bill is really important. So I would really ask if we could probably meet next week as a committee to discuss this and to kind of go over it. It's 100 pages. We just got it. So, I mean, I haven't even really reviewed it yet. I have some different synopsis from CML on it and things like that, but haven't really seen the bill. I just wanted to know if both of you would be agreeable to that, and then maybe we can look at calendars. We can get Cynthia to send out a calendar invite to see when your schedules are good. Liz, would you anticipate maybe an hour? How would you?
I would say an hour. There is a lot in this bill, and I think it does warrant some thorough discussion as we move forward with advocacy from the city. And I want to make sure that all of the council members are going to be accepting of what we would want to advocate for and on.
So Councilmember Jurinsky and Councilmember Zvonek, first of all, do you have any comments? And then would you be willing to attend a kind of another meeting next week?
Yeah, no comments, but yes, I would. I think it's important enough that we need to talk through it.
Okay. Councilmember Jurinsky, would you agree to that?
I mean,
Okay.
same for me, but I think we've got to pick a time immediately. Or
Okay.
I don't
Did
know
you
that
want to try to, okay, while we're online, do you want to try to look at that right now? Or do you
So I
wanna-
can do Tuesday or Wednesday morning, the 28th or 29th.
Councilmember Zvonek, okay, I won't be back on Tuesday morning, but
I could do Wednesday, but it'd have to be after. So I'm basically free between 10:30 and noon on Wednesday.
okay.
I mean, just set it up for right at 10:30. If I can't get on, then I mean, you two make a majority of this committee anyways. So whatever position you take, I will support.
Okay, and you guys have no availability on Thursday? I'm just asking. Like in the morning? I'm just asking.
Between 11 and noon, I could be flexible. I could move some things around on Thursday.
I can't do that at all.
Okay.
Okay. I could do Friday morning.
Okay, I could do Friday morning, but since both of your schedules work for, you guys said on the 29th, I will just I'll do something with my schedule then.
So my schedule doesn't actually work for the 29th. I was hoping
Oh.
that you two would make the majority and could do the 29th.
Well, I want you to be
I
involved.
can't do 10:30. On Wednesday, it would have to be like 8 or 9 a.m. for me.
Okay. And Councilmember Zvonek, what's yours again? I'm so sorry. I'm just.
Well, that's why I said, I mean, it's nice in theory to say we need to have a meeting, but to try and coordinate schedules last minute when it's already this late in the week, I'm not sure.
Well, I apologize, Councilmember Jurinsky. We just got the bill, so I know.
That's
Yeah.
what makes it tough.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't mean to, but it is warrant significance that we have a discussion if we're going to try to bring this to study session, so we can start advocating as a committee what
So
our
where are you going to be Tuesday morning, Angela?
Well, I'm just coming. I won't be back. I'm coming back from DC on that day. I won't be back until 3.
Wednesday's the 29th, though.
Oh, Wednesday I will be here. I mean, I can move that around. I'll be, you guys can both meet at 10:30 on Wednesday? Okay,
I cannot. I
okay.
can do 8 or 9 a.m. on Wednesday.
Councilmember Zvonek?
I could do 9. I'll make it work.
Or 9:30, Dustin, is that?
It'd be better, yeah.
Okay.
I could do 9:30.
Okay, so how about we do Wednesday, the 29th at 9:30?
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. I do appreciate that. And I know staff really appreciates it. We've been waiting for this bill to drop for quite some time. And we really do believe it does warrant this extra meeting. So thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate that.
And Councilmember Jurinsky and Councilmember Zvonek, I thank you for being adaptable to this, and we'll have the meeting then. Okay. All right, Councilmember Marcano, I'm going to allow you to bring something forward. Now, I'm just saying the rules here is that we're not going to be, I have to hear what it is. We're not going to be trying to take positions. Usually I would want you to go through Liz, but I'm going to allow you to do this. So please bring forth what you want us to listen to or to consider.
Thank you, Councilmember Lawson. So this is more of an informative item for the committee to consider. So I spoke with Chief Acevedo and City Manager Twombly after getting a bunch of complaints from our residents about the 11 mile per hour threshold on our radar pilot that we're starting up next month. A lot of them felt that that was too high of a fudge factor for enforcement. They brought up school zones where the limit is 20 miles an hour. So what we're really saying is, well, you can speed through as long as you don't go above 31 miles an hour in a school zone. That was unacceptable to them, and I would agree with that. I've been looking at 20 is plenty and those efforts throughout the country. And one of the things that really stuck with me about that is the difference in survival rates when folks are hit by a vehicle traveling at 20 miles an hour, which is like over 90% versus a vehicle traveling at 30 miles an hour, which is a coin flip. And then when you get to 40 miles an hour, it's 80 to 90% in the wrong direction, in terms of fatality. So with a 11 mile an hour, basically grace amount that is statutorily required, I don't feel like this pilot's going to be nearly as effective as it could be. So I wanted to put that on the committee's radar. I'm currently lobbying a few folks to see if they're able to work something into their schedule to address this, because I really do think that we need to be able to be a little more stringent on that limit. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention, since this is something that would require state action on, and maybe we'll be able to get a bill introduced. So.
Okay, so Councilmember Marcano, I just have a question. So when you say that you're lobbying, are you lobbying, are you trying to get someone at a sponsor or what? I mean, I guess I'm just trying to understand when you say lobbying, what are you doing exactly?
I am talking to state representatives, bring this to their attention and seeing if they have the bandwidth to take a look at this and maybe bring something to amend it if they'd be willing to do so. Because it would just be changing the statute to give localities more leeway here.
Okay. First of all, let me just ask if there's any questions from the committee in general about what this proposal is about from Councilmember Marcano. Councilmember Zvonek, Councilmember Jurinsky.
No, it seems pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right. Liz, can we keep track of this? And then Councilmember Marcano, I guess if you could work with Liz to let you know what you're doing, who you're talking to, so we could just be abreast of that, and then we'll bring it back to the committee. We just need to know the updates.
Sounds good.
Okay. Liz, does that sound agreeable to you?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. All right. If there's no other questions on that, thank you, Councilmember Marcano, for bringing that forward. We have our water update. Kathy.
Hello. The CDS requests for FY24 were already covered by Liz, and Senate Bill 213 that we just discussed, Water Department will be reviewing that one as well. With your meeting being set, we'll try to get comments to Liz from our departmental review by close of business the day before. Other than that, I have no other items. We're still expecting a few water bills, but they have not been introduced yet.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kathy, for that update. Any questions from the committee to Kathy?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is there any miscellaneous matters for consideration from the committee or anyone that is on this meeting? Okay. Our next meeting is going to be April 7th. It will be in person. Is the committee okay with that at 1 o'clock on April 7th?
Yep.
Okay. All right. With that being said, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. See y'all.
Thanks, everybody.